Hello everyone, this is General Hand Grenade. Welcome to my war room in Prince George, British Columbia. In this video, we will be continuing through the summer of 1917, and we've reached the Soviet turn. It's not the Russian turn anymore, it's the Soviet turn, because things have changed. The Russians have had a revolution, and now the Soviets have split off from the Allies. And if you've been watching along, then you'll know that we've already done a lot of things in Russia on this round already. And this is where we'll do more, and I'll talk more about it as well. I think actually what I'll do is I'll go through the factions, because this is actually the last turn, the last round that I'm going to be filming. And then I'm going to do one more video after that, summarizing the whole game, and that'll be it. And we'll talk about that in the last video. So let's just get to let's just take a look at what's going on in Russia right now. So all the pieces are on the board, and some movement have already happened. And I'll just pan around a bit and let you see what it is, and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So there we are in the Far East down there. That guy's kind of a weirdo. That's a strict neutral now. That happened on the beginning of the round, where that guy managed to grab himself a territory and create his own country. Anyway, so let's just set up the camera here and talk about this. So first thing we'll talk about, there's different factions, right? In the game, there's the Allies and there's the Central Powers, and now there's the Soviets. So let's talk about the Allied involvement, and you've already seen a bit of that so far in this round, with the British taking their turn. On the Allied turn, you can attack the Central Powers if you want with the Allied units. Not the White Russians, just the Allied units, like the British units that are in there, or the American units, I guess. You won't see any French units in there until after the war is over, I don't think. So if your Allied units and White Russian units are in the same territory, they'll defend together. So if the Soviets go to attack them, then they will both defend together, but they attack separately. Like, you don't just take your British and White units and attack the Soviets. It's one or the other, but you do defend together. The White units can go to other White territories, use their facilities, and conduct joint defense regardless of which major power controls them, Allied or Central Powers. So you can combine yourself with other Whites, even though they're controlled by Germans or Austrians. It doesn't matter, right? The White Army is one entity. They're just controlled by different factions in the game, and different players, obviously, right? You do a recruitment roll for every White territory that you control, and you've seen that already. We counted up the British territories, or British controlled territories, and we did manage to get our recruitment roll, and we placed 2 militia on. We had the option of doing that or 1 infantry, and we chose the 2 militia. And you can also lend lease to White Russia, Poland, Ukraine, Finland. The Allies actually have more options than the Central Powers doing this, because the Central Powers do have the peace treaty that they've signed with the Soviets. There is a random event that where Poland can become controlled by the British. They start out being controlled by Germany. That's who's controlling them right now. But later on, it could be the British that control them. And if that happens, they can recruit for Poland if they want, but they don't have to, right? Same with Germany. Germany's the same thing with Poland. They can recruit for them if they want to, but they don't have to. And if I was British, I would do it anyway, right? But Germany might not want to, because Germany can still attack Poland if they want, and get those IPPs that are in there, right? I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not. Like, you'd have to decide for yourself. How's the Civil War going? Things like that. Like, you might want the Polish to be as strong as possible to be able to hold off the Soviets. But if the Soviets aren't doing very well, and you see some points for yourself in there, then by all means, then go and attack the Polish, right? They can attack. So this is we're still talking about the Allies here. So they can attack a Soviet-controlled or aligned minor power outside of Russia without a penalty. Right now, the Russians don't have anything outside of Russia, but they're going to continue with their diplomacy, right? They really would like to get one territory at least outside of Russia to get an extra point. That'll be worth a point to them. So Allied units may freely transit white territory not otherwise occupied by Central Powers, may use facilities and conduct joint defense with another major power or if attacked by another major power or the Soviets. So anyway, what that's saying is that the British, like you've got British units in here, they can go through other white territories, the British units, not the white units, but they can't go through a territory that's controlled by, say, the Ottomans or the Austro-Hungarians, right? They can only go through the white territories that are controlled by allies. But the whites, of course, can move freely around, right? Anyway, and the restrictions that the allies have. So USA and aligned Japan, like there is in this game, they're aligned to the Allies, must maintain a co-equal number of units in an original Russian home territory. Neither side may have more land units in Russia unless the other can do so on the same turn. So, like they have the same number of units here, they've got one each, right? Now, if you plan to put another American unit in here, then you would also have to plan to put a Japanese unit in here, and then you'd have to carry through with that. And like if the Americans wanted to attack this territory, then you would have to make sure that Japan went in there on their turn, or vice versa, right? One or the other. Actually, I don't think Japan can attack them. Yeah, Japan may not attack Russian territories. Sorry for the confusion there. But if the Americans went in there, the Japanese would have to go in there as well. You have to have the same number of Japanese and American units in a territory. And Japan will never control or lend lease to white Russians. So they're a minor power, right? So they don't do any of the controlling. And they can't lend lease to anybody in the game. So why would they be able to lend lease to the white Russians, right? Now, as far as the Central Powers, they're similar to the Allies in a lot of ways. The difference is that they do control some of the other nations in here. Like, let's take a look at them. We have Poland here. That's these three territories. So right off the bat, the Germans are controlling Poland. The Austro-Hungarians are controlling the Ukraine down here. And the Germans are also controlling Finland. Now, Finland is having a civil war right now. So that's going on here. And these other guys are neutral countries. Okay, so these countries that we're talking about here, Poland and Ukraine and Finland, they can't leave their own countries. The only place they can move is within their own countries. So like if the Soviets came in and took this territory, then Poland could go into this territory because it's a Polish territory and take it back. That's the only place they can move, unless there's a random event card. I think there is one random event that has a war between the Ukraine and Poland. I think that's a thing. It's been a while since I played it, so yeah, like they have to stay within their own territory. Same with the Ukrainians and same with the Finns. So, like one of the things that you can do as the Soviet player is don't attack them, right? Like just go and dispatch all the whites and the major powers that are in Russia. And then once you're done with them, like when World War I ends, then go into Ukraine and Poland and Finland and wipe them out then. Or you could, what I was planning on doing here, beginning on this turn, I was going to go in and wipe out Finland, take them off the board, and then concentrate on the whites and the other major powers. And I was going to leave Poland and Ukraine alone. You just do whatever you want, right? Make it up. It's your game. As long as you follow the rules, right? Okay, so there's Poland, and so the when you're controlling the Finns, You can recruit for them, and you can lend-lease one unit. You can attack and defend until the conclusion of the Finnish War of Independence. Finnish whites will not depart from the 3 Finnish territories. They may attack any of the 3 territories, Finnish territories, that are held by the Soviets. And they already did that. If you were watching earlier, in Germany's turn, the Soviets had a dude here, and Finland went in and attacked him. And Austria-Hungary recruits for the Ukraine and lend-leases to them separately. And again, they won't depart any territory. Non-combat, the white units within their controlled territory, they can move to other white territories, use facilities, and conduct joint defense regardless of which major power controls them. And they can lend-lease to other white territories they control and occupy. So again, a little more of a restriction than the Allies. And they can lend-lease to the territories that they control. So the Soviets, and here we go, this is where we're going to begin today as far as playing the game. On the Soviets' turn, which is now, you draw 3 random event cards. You conduct all normal phases of a turn, including technology and diplomacy. So you just play your regular turn, you're still a major power, right? And you get 1 free diplomacy roll. You're not going to get more diplomacy rolls, like you're not going to get a diplomacy roll when you get a territory. You're just going to get that 1 diplomacy roll. You collect income from Russian home territories not otherwise occupied by one of the others, whether it's a major power or the whites. Random events and diplomatic influence may result in the Soviets aligning a minor neutral nation. These are controlled by the Soviets, marked with a Soviet roundel, and these units may move and attack other neutrals without placing the Soviets at war or a penalty. So anyway, let's move on. I'm just reading out of the rule book there, but let's start. So we've got our Russian Civil War card deck, and I've showed you before, and I'll show you quickly once we draw a card. There's 36 cards. You're only going to use 18 of them while World War I is still going on, and that will be the cards with the fist on them. And I'll show you that fist. That's a partisan fist there. So you're going to draw 3 cards, but 1 at a time, right? You're not going to draw them all. So let me just take a look at this. I can't read it that far away. I'm getting too old, or at least my eyes are. So, Czech Legion. Place 1 attacking white infantry in Novosibirsk, Angara, Baratia, and 1 cavalry in Chita, all under control of the British. In each of those locations, remove 1 Soviet infantry unit if present, and resolve combat if necessary. Okay, let me just put this down. So an infantry, Novus 1, 2, 3 infantry, and a cavalry. I'm going to have to steal this Mongolian cavalry. We'll put them back once we lose a cavalry. So Novosibirsk. So that guy's going to have to attack the other guys. Angara and Baratia. So Baratia and Angara. Plus, I'm supposed to take an infantry off. I'm supposed to take an infantry off any of those locations. So there's none here, but there's 1 here. So take him off. And there's infantry here. Okay, so we have to resolve this card fully first before we move on to the next. So let's grab ourselves some dice here. Alrighty. We have, let's get a white dice and a red dice. We have infantry in a mountain, so he'll be at 1, and the cavalry will defend at 2. And nothing. Remember, it doesn't just last 3 rounds. When you have to do these things as part of a random event, you have to keep going until it's done. Still nothing. This could last well into the night. Just about that time, but no. Okay, still no. Just barely missed. 2 and 3. If it wasn't a mountain, we would have won that one. Okay, no. And no. Come on, somebody's got to win. Okay, the The cavalry won. He got a 1. So that one's lost. Now we have here. Oh, no, we don't. We have here in a city. So this guy is also in a mountain, so he's -1. So he's at 1. And this guy's +1 for being in a city. That is 3. Alrighty, here we go. Missed. And that guy wins. The militia wins. So there we go. Alright. Okay, so that's the first card down. And if you want to take a look at that, there it is. The Czech Legion. Alright, so then you make yourself a discard pile. And we grab the second card. Soviet Army grows. So here we are here. Let me take a look. The Soviet Army increases its morals and training. Add 2 Soviet infantry and 1 Soviet armor train on any 1 Soviet territory. Alright. Take a look at that. There you go. Okay. So, and obviously you don't worry about the manpower icon because it's telling you to put them on any territory, right? You know what? Let's just go back to Novosibirsk there. And an armored train out in the open there. That's where it's nice to have those trains out in Siberia because they cover so much ground. They move six territories right into combat. They're like artillery that moves 6 bases. There we go. Okay, last card. Let's see what we got here. Makhno Red Army. Okay. Place 2 attacking Makhno infantry units in Taurida. If the Makhno infantry wins combat, it must remain in this territory, which now becomes part of the Soviets. The Soviets may move more units into Taurida, but never out. If the Black Army's event has been played, add 1 infantry to that location. Okay, so the reason for that is that the Makhno Army and the Black Army are actually the same thing, right? Okay, but we had 2 different events, so we decided to call them 2 different things. So this is your Makhno Army chip, or marker, and 2 infantry. I also have this guy. Now you could just place the Soviet infantry if you want, but I kind of thought that that guy would be cool because he's part of the Black Army, right? And that goes in Taurida. Is that worth anything? No, it's not. It's not worth any money. I'll show you here. Taurida's in the Ukraine. Makhno was Ukrainian. He didn't have much use for Soviets, but he didn't like his own country either. They just wanted to be left alone, the Black Army, and he liked the fact that the Soviets were having a revolution and they were railing against the government. He was an anarchist, right? And so he kind of aligned a little more with them, but at the same time, you know, he didn't mind them fighting the Ukrainians for him, but he sure didn't want to join them either. Anyway, so that's it. Now, this turn's going to be a little easier because we don't have any money to spend. Remember, we gave our money to the Germans, but at the end of this turn, we are going to be collecting some money and spending it. So let's just sit down and take a look at this. I did set some things up here when I set up this stuff. So I could go 2 ways here with these guys. Am I in the picture? Yeah, I'm in the picture there. These guys could either go to the British held territory of Kola, or they could go to Finland here. And if they don't go to Finland by the end of this turn, then this conflict is over and you can't attack them anymore. They become a strict neutral. And so that's why I wanted to keep it going, right? But I don't have to take everybody in there, that's for sure. So let's just go in there with these guys. And let's just, that. Let's take a Cossack in there. And let's take one of the infantry in as well. And what the heck, we might as well go with the plane, right? Okay, and then let's go after this guy. Let's go with the looking around for territories that are worth money, because the Soviets could use some money, right? So this one's not worth anything, is it? Too bad. Oh yeah, it is too. Yeah, let's take this one for sure. Better put, let's take the armored train in there. Let's go for the big battle right off the bat. Let's take these guys out. This isn't worth anything either, is it? Nope. There we go. We could go up here. And that's about it, I think. So let's go right here first. There is no terrain to speak of. You know what though? These guys are going to have to cross a river here. I think just these ones. Because you see that river there is on that side of the border, but on this side of the roundel. So just those ones have to cross a river. Okay. So we have an armored train and artillery, first strike, both at 4. Misses. Darn, that would have been a good one to get. And then we have, let's kick up the 1 infantry, so he becomes a 3. Missed. And then we'll kick up another infantry, and the other one's going to be at 1, and the cavalry is going to be at 2. So we have 2 at 2 and 1 at 1. Wow, nothing. No hits whatsoever. And then defending, we've got 2 at 4 and 1 at 2. So 1 hit. Okay. Let's just take off. Let's take off an infantry. Okay. Let's try again. So we've got 2 at 4, and these guys are across the river now. And so we kick these 2 up to 3, and that's a 3 now. So 2 at 4 and 3 at 3. Okay. There we go. 1, 2, just 2. And then 2 at 4 and 1 at 2. So that's 2. Okay, 2 each. 2 each. Let's take off cavalry and an infantry. And we better leave an infantry on here. Cavalry and an infantry each, okay? And then we've got 1 more round. So we've got 2 artillery and an infantry at 3. Okay, that's a hit right there. And 1 infantry. That's a miss, okay. All right, so we've taken a territory. That's good. Too bad it wasn't worth anything, right? Okay, let's go to here. That was worth $1, wasn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, damn. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay. No terrain. Okay. So we got a militia at 1 and an infantry is going to be at 3, And we've got the armor train first though. Armor train at 4. Missed. And then the infantry is white at 3. Oh, jeez. Okay, and then we got the white infantry at 4. Okay, let's try that again. Here we go. Okay, that's a hit. And then we have the white infantry. He gets a hit. So we'll take the militia off. And there we go. We get a territory that's worth 1 now. That's good. So what else we got? We're going to go to that territory in Finland. Okay, so that's Marsh there. And the only Marsh unit that we have in the vehicle class, believe it or not, is the Cossack unit, because he's a cavalry, right? The artillery is not. And of course the plane would not be, because the plane is not on the ground. So the artillery is kicked up a notch. So he's at 5. Okay, that's a miss. And then the Cossack is normally at 4, so he's going to be at 2. And we also have 3 infantry at 2, so misses. And we've got 1 infantry at 3 because he's kicked up by the artillery. Nothing. And we've got an infantry defending. A Finnish infantry. Okay, so that's a hit. All right, let's take an infantry off. All right, let's go again. So, artillery at 5. Got him. And then we've got infantry at 4. Defending. Missed. Okay. So the Finnish guy is out. Let's put a pie on there, just because it's Finland. What else we got? Okay, so that's what we did there. We got this territory here now. Okay, so no terrain. We've got an artillery, an infantry, and a cavalry. So that's artillery first at 4, and then 2 at 3. Misses. And then an infantry at 4. 1 hit. Okay, we'll lose infantry. So we've got 1 at 4, 1 at 3. Red is at 4. Okay, that's a hit. And then they've got an infantry at 4. That's a hit. Darn. Okay, so we'll lose the artillery, or sorry, not artillery. We'll lose the cavalry. And we'll take off the markers. And we have the artillery left. Okay, there we go. Oh, you know what we did forget to do though? We forgot to do our technology and our other role. So technology, you get to retain the technology that you have still as the Soviets. Defense in depth isn't going to be a big deal because the White Army is never going to be strong enough. You're not going to be strong enough to be building any trench lines. So those things that are good for trench warfare are not going to be handy for the Soviets at all. I think what I'll do is I'll go with improved logistics, because then we'll at least get to do 3 rail movement instead of 2 in Russia. So, okay, missed it anyway. And then, let's go for Norway. Okay, that's a miss as well. All right. So I've adjusted the income. I count 5 IPPs. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Novosibirsk is 5. I don't see any more than that. You'd think they'd have more, but no, they don't. Okay, no problem. So non-combat moves. Obviously we can only non-combat the guys that haven't moved. Not a lot, because we just set the stuff down already. We might not have many places to move them to. Plus we're not placing any more. You know what? I think the only guy I want to move is this guy. Because the only thing they can reach there to this city with is the cavalry. Unless, of course, they get some stuff put down for a random event, right? Like one of the cards. But we have no control over that. So that's it for them. Time to place units. Oh yeah, right, we don't have any units. Then we have our roll, or wartime economy roll. So we have 5 IPP plus 6 is 11. Yeah, we could be doing better for sure when it comes to money. Starting off slowly. That'll make it more interesting though. If you make it too easy on them, then it's not very exciting. Anyway, that's basically what happens on Russia's turn. I know I kind of pushed it there, doing the things in the wrong order. But what did they take out? I think they took out 3 territories. 2 white territories and a Finnish territory. Before we move on to the next turn, I guess would be Italy. Before we move on, I just want to tell you that there's 2 phases to this Civil War. So the first phase is what's going on during World War I. And that's part 1, or phase 1, you can call it. And then phase 2 is slightly different. The rules change in phase 2. Most of the rules are the same, but like you'll do things like take the Central Powers units off, right? Like you'll take that Ottoman dude off over there, and you know, like there's an Austro-Hungarian guy here. If there's a German Freikorps on the map, which there isn't yet, then you would leave him. And like it'll tell you in the rules which ones you leave and which ones you keep. Most of the Central Powers you'll take off the board, and the Allies will remain on the map. And then each major power then gets their peacetime income. If we played the prequel, then you'd be more familiar with the peacetime income in this game. Typically the peacetime income for these nations is 3 IPP. So you'll get 3 IPP, and you can either buy something for the whites or something for yourself. Like the British, they would buy an infantry for themselves or an infantry for the whites, plus do the recruitment roll for the whites, and you keep going, right? And there's places that you place them. Like the British, they only have 2 places they can place them, here and here. The Ottomans have to place theirs down there. The Austrians have to place theirs over here, and the Germans over here, and the Americans obviously over there. So, and once you lose those places, then you don't get to place anymore. You don't get to lend lease anymore. Like you have to, they're all at ports or ports of entry, whether they're land ports or sea ports, right? And if you don't have that, then you can't get in there with your lend lease or with your units. And so the Russians, or the Soviets, they will be trying to close off those ports. And so that's something that you'll try to maintain, is those areas. Like if I was the British finishing off this game, I would be making sure to move some British units up here and lend leasing some more white units before the end of the war. Because at that point, then you're down to not having any units outside of Russia take part, right? Like right now, I could hop on some transports over here and come over and place some units here. And if I just do that once, I should be good, right? But if I don't do that, then you know, like it would be pretty easy for the Soviets to remove these 2 territories from the British control, and then the British are out of it, right? They don't get to participate anymore in the Civil War. And there's other ways that they'll leave too. The whites were really inept. They did not have their shit together whatsoever. And so the rest of the world were pretty frustrated with them. Like they wanted to stop communism, but they just couldn't see why they should keep giving their money to these idiots over there that were fighting them. They just they were totally inept, and like the Soviet or the Russian people wanted to be on the Soviet side anyway for the most part. They'd be set up for a battle the next day. They'd go to bed at night. They'd get up in the morning. Half their army would be gone. They'd be on the other side of the field, ready to fight for the Soviets at the beginning of the battle. It just like it was inevitable that the Soviets were going to win this conflict, and eventually each of the major powers will find that out, and as you flip over these cards, they will be leaving. It just says France withdraws, and then France is out of there, or US withdraws, and then the Americans are gone. So that's just going to keep going, right? And another thing that we haven't gotten to yet is the Spanish flu. So there's a Spanish flu card that's in the Russian deck, but there's also Spanish flu random events that are part of the core game random events, and so a lot of the units on the board will start disappearing, right? You'll start having to take infantry class units off the board, and it tells you where and how many and things like that. But just when you thought everything was going fine, where'd all my units go? Anyway, so let's move on. We'll play Italy next. Okay, so it's Italy's turn. Let me just get some dice out. There we go. So, technology. They got one major factory. They are going to go for defense in depth. And they missed it. Okay. And the only thing they're going to do, they've got 5 artillery. They're going to go for the attrition artillery strike here. So, take a look over there. They're going to go into Austria with their artillery. Yeah. So 5. Here we go. At 1. 1 hit. There we go. The Austrians are going to lose this guy, the trench fighter, because he's less expensive than an infantry. Okay, and that is it. And all they bought was an infantry and an artillery for $8. They are going to place them. There we go. And then they have wartime economy. So 8 plus 8 is 16. Here we go. Okay. It is Japan's turn next. Actually, I'm ready for Japan. Let's just move over here and do it. So these guys, okay, what did they buy? They bought a transport, and they're moving 2 cruisers from stage 3 to stage 2 on the build chart. And then their attack move, 1, 2, they're just going to come over here with everybody and attack that guy. That looks like about it. They can't reach anybody else. So let's just turn around and do it. Okay, they've got two battleships and 2 cruisers. Land shots. Shore bombardment. Boom! 1 hit. 2 hits. That guy got the shit blown out of him. Alrighty. So Japan gets another territory. That one isn't worth anything though. So, there we go. Okay, non-combat moves. Let's take this guy. 1, 2. We're going to move him to here because these guys could come either way out of Australia, and we're going to try to go after them. And this guy here, let's take one of these. put it down here. Okay, we're gonna come down with, and they're gonna go 1, 2, 3 down to here. There we go. Took naval infantry and an artillery on a transport down there. Let me just see here. Yeah, they can't reach it. Okay, no problem. Okay, so they are at 14, so that means they get 7 plus 11. Wow, 18. And plus they saved 4, so that's 22. They saved 4 because really they had nothing to spend it on, right? All they can really do now is buy transports and ground units and get on their horse and do one attack against the Ottomans or something. So we're going to take the transport that we purchased and we're going to place them right here. So we've got 4 transports now. We've got this one and these 2, and they're all going that way. See what kind of damage they can do. And that's it for the Japanese. Let's move on to the Americans. Okay, so the Americans have 4 major factories. They're going to go for depth charges and hydrophones, and they get it. And then they're going to go for convoy system, and they get that. So both of those go to stage 3. And then we're going to go to improved factories, and they get that one. So that goes to stage 4. So now they have improved factories. And the last one is improved logistics. Jeez. Again, the one they wanted, they didn't get. So the other 3 go up, and that one does not. Okay, so we'll take a look at what the Americans purchased here. A bunch of stuff. Plus, the other thing is they're moving 3 dreadnoughts along on the build queue over there. Only one Lend-Lease this turn, and that is to the White Army. So that means that the Japanese will have to Lend-Lease something over there too. You know what? The Japanese had an extra 4 IPP. Let's just throw down an infantry for them, for the Japanese. That's just something I should have done anyway. So an infantry goes down in Primorsky Krai over here. I put a chip underneath them there. Okay, so basically what we're trying to do now is trying to get everybody going to Europe if we can. And also we have to worry about South America. So the other thing is we purchased 1 die and we're going for Peru. On the diplomacy, we need a 3 or less. And that's a miss. Okay. So, combat moves. Let's see. Let's go for the big attack there. So let's just take everybody out of here. Okay, all of those guys. And these guys. And, that looks like, so jungle border, and that's it. The jungle border for all these units, and no border for these 2 units down here. So let's just take a look there. So these units don't have a border. These units have a jungle border. Okay, let's get ready to roll. So a jungle border is only -2 for vehicle class, but I don't have any vehicle class units. All I've got is infantry and artillery class. Okay, so we've got 2 artillery, no observation, and the Germans, just looking, so they got 4 colonials and 3 infantry there. The Americans have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 infantry, 3 Marines, and a colonial. Okay, so 2 artillery. 1 hit. Okay, that would be one of the colonial infantry. And then, let's kick up Marines. So 2 of them are going to be at 4. No hits. And then 1 of them will be at 3. Nothing. And then we've got 5 infantry. At 2, that's 1 hit. And a colonial infantry at 1, that's a miss. So 1 hit off them. And they have 3 colonials and 3 infantry. Okay. So the colonials will be yellow, the infantry will be red. Okay, no hits, 2 hits. All right. So the Americans will lose a colonial and an infantry, and the Germans will lose 1 colonial. And that's 1 round. Okay, so they've got 2 artillery and 2 Marines at 4. Okay. One hit. And then 1 Marine at 3. Miss. And then 4 infantry at 2. Misses. And the other guys have 2 militia and 3 infantry. 1 hit. So 1 each. So that's 1 German colonial and 1 American infantry. Last round. The Americans again have 4 at 4. That's 2 artillery, 2 US Marines. Ooh, misses. And then 1 at 3, misses. And then 3 at 2, 1 hit. Okay, then the Germans have 3 and 1. 1, 2 hits. So 2 off the Americans, 1 off the Germans. 2 off the Americans, 1 off the Germans. And that'll be it. There we go. So let's take a look at what we got left here. Okay, so I moved these guys that came from here. I just moved them back here. And the other guys are the ones that I took off. So there's still an infantry and artillery and 2 US Marines. And it's time for non-combat, so let's move this guy up. Let me just do this. So this guy is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back up to the C zone in Washington there. And this guy in Mexico, it's not worth anything, so I don't really need to leave anything there. He's going to rail. So the Marine, he's before we put him in there, let's just wait on him just so we don't get confused. So this guy here was going to come up here, up to Newfoundland. The America's got a strategic rail movement of 4. They've already used 1 to get this transport up here. Let's just move him out of the way. Okay, so this guy here is going to go 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into here, along with the Marine and the artillery. I'll show you afterwards where all those things went, because I know you can't see them on camera there. And then we've got 2 more transports. They're going to go to Portugal. They're going to take the Dreadnought with them and a torpedo boat destroyer, just for some protection, with 4 infantry. And then the 2 infantry that were in Portugal are going to get on the transport that was there and go 1, 2. Doesn't have a major port, it can only go 2. So let's move him over here along with that. And there we go. Okay, before I move that camera, let me just bring the other guys over. Let's see what we got here. 3-man power icons, 3-man power icons. So I can put up to 6 units here. Which means all of them. Put the artillery at the factory. We'll take this artillery and put it in Britain. Lend-leasing it over there. And then of course these 2. And let's do this for some protection. Let's move this guy up to. This guy was railing 2. Let's just rail him to here. Okay. So let's take a look here. I brought the guys from Portugal into here, and also I brought 2 from Washington into here. That's the Marine and the artillery. So there's the 2 transports, and I brought the Crate Dreadnought up as well. They couldn't go 3 because that's not a major port down there. And then, almost done. You know what? Let's take these 2 cruisers too. So 1, 2, no 1. 2, 3, 4. So I took them up to Texas there. Okay, and I did buy an infantry and a colonial troop. Let's just check here. Oh, there isn't okay, there's no manpower icon there, which means I'll have to put them back there. Okay, then there's one last thing, and that is the artillery that we're placing in Primorsky Krai for the whites. Okay, so wartime economy. The Americans are at 43. Any countries? Nope. Nothing that they haven't already taken. Okay, 43 plus. Ooh, boxcars. That's 55. Like they needed all of that. That's 5 more than last time. All right. That's it for the Americans. On to the Chinese. All right, China. 3 cards. Nationalists. Add 1 artillery to any territory. Okay. Yeah, getting right down to it up there. There's not much left for the warlords. Shaanxi. add 1 infantry to any territory. So that's the yellow dudes. And it doesn't matter which one I add it to. There's an infantry in each territory. Okay, so adding them to that territory there. That means that he is going to be attacking at 1, and the other guy is going to be defending at 4. So the warlord is the yellow one, and the green one is the nationalists. Oh, too bad if it wasn't mountain. Okay. Misses. And misses. Actually, that 4 wasn't really a 4. It was something of both. Let's roll that again. Okay. Misses. Looking for a 1 and a 4. Look at that. They killed each other. Okay. So they both come off the board. What we need now is another Shaanxi card. Then you can go there where it's empty. Okay. Last card. Zhili. Conduct a mandatory offensive. Okay. There's no Zhili units on the board. So we can't do that one. So we got to pull a different card. Feng Xian. Ooh, that's a good one. Add 1 artillery to any territory. So that's going to be handy because they're one of the few guys that are left. Okay. I just put them down right there where the horses are. Why not? Okay, these guys have 7 IPP, so they're going to buy a mountain infantry and an infantry, which I'm going to promptly throw onto the floor. There we go. And what should we do? We're going to go after this dude here, obviously, aren't we? He's the only one we can go after. And we're going to do it with everybody, but we're going to lose 1 infantry in each territory. So we got to leave this guy and we got to leave this guy. Everybody else in the pool. And there's no terrain. So let's just do it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artillery. Seems like only a formality at this point. So 5 artillery at 4. 1, 2 hits. And that's all they have. Okay. So let's just take these off and these off. Put these down and these down. And this guy. And I think that's it, isn't it? We do need a pie as well. So what do we got there? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12 territories. If they get 2 more there, they can get another point. They've already got 1 point for having at least 9 territories. And they have the city of Peking here, which is another point. So 2 more territories and they can get another point. So things have gone well for the nationalists this turn. And they're going to place their units. They've got a manpower icon here. So they'll put a mountain infantry there. Here, let's just move this up. And of course we're going to want to put somebody here since there's nobody there anymore. There we go. Okay. And the Chinese, hey, that was worth $1. So we're up to $8 now. Ooh, the crowd goes wild. There we go. And that is it for this round. we will come back probably tomorrow with one more video, and we'll wrap this up. Okay, so thanks for joining me today, everyone. Take care. General Hand Grenade out.